to Tai Chi. Everybody ready? Let's warm up. Hands at your waist, turn your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expand your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Waist exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Touch toe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be careful. Shift your weight. Kick your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kick your butt. 1, 2. Shift your weight. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Heisman, opening up your span, parallel feet, choose one side, sit on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift your weight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Short one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to practice being a golden cockerel. As we're doing it, you don't have to follow me. Okay, if my stance is too short and yours is longer, do it at your own rate. Just incorporate your safety measures. So remember what your safety measures are. If we're being a golden cockerel, we center the front hand and the other hand counterbalances us. We bring the knee in, we bring the foot in line with the hand. And the other hand sits to the side in a stretched out position as if you could draw a diagonal, imaginary diagonal from the tip of the front fingers to the side fingers, okay? When you're doing golden cockerel, the knees should not be locked in. They should be relaxed, ready to move. If they're locked in, you're not going to be able to shift your weight. And always think about your center of gravity 2 inches below your navel, okay? Let's work on it a little bit here. All right, feet apart, dropping those shoulders, golden cockerel standing on its left. Center the front hand, other hand sits to the side so that you can make a diagonal from the point of your fingers. Bring that knee towards the center of your body. Lift it up at the same time the hand comes up and the other hand stretches out. One last set. Up, up and out. Okay? Then we're going to do our kick out. In the same way, when we kick out, our feet are apart. We gather our energy. We center our hand so that if we know we're going to do a right kick, our right hand is on the outside. It rises up at the same time we make the cross, and we follow that kick, making sure that other hand in the back is the counterbalance hand. It goes in the opposite direction rather than in the same direction, okay? Here we go, feet apart. We're gonna kick out with our right, therefore our left gets all our weight, and we kick out in line. Last set. Then we talked about feet alignment, okay, the basis of Tai Chi. We said that we are in good Tai Chi posture because we've dropped our shoulders, our middle finger is to the side seam of our pants, our chest is sunken, our butt is tucked in, our knees are relaxed, our chin is slightly down, our head is straight up, held by that cable. When we make a T stance, we firm down on our right and we form the capital letter T. Hands at your waist. When we have an L stance, we come out and to the side on our heel, out and to the side. Generate that energy to come up, across, and out, bow stance. knees not beyond the toes. Sit back, sit down on an imaginary stool, pivot on the heel that's almost weightless, firm down to make the letter T, out to the side L, move the hips and waist, adjust the back foot, bow stance, bow and arrow. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, capital letter T, out into the side, L, turn the hips and waist, L, bow stance. Sit back on that imaginary stool and sit down on it, pivot, firm down, capital T, capital L, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball on a T stance. Left hand on the bottom matches the left foot that's ready to go because the bottom hand advances. Out into the side, move that ball, stretch. Sit back, sit down, pivot, right hand on the bottom, right foot ready to go, holding your ball, out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball for better balance, bring it in, out on an L, move that ball, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball for better balance on a T, out on an L, part the wild horse's mane, get that stretch and the flying diagonal. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball, one last set, out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane, or give your friend a snack. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball, out into the side L stance, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball in a T stance. Then we said that what we just learned we can apply to a Tai Chi walk, where we can walk towards the wall, and later on we can walk backwards. So let's do that. Hands at our waist. To begin, we're going to take a zigzag on our right heel. We're pivoting it. We're firming down. We know that our left foot needs to move, so our left hand has to go on the bottom of our ball. We took a zigzag. Now we cannot take a zigzag, but we have to take an L stance. Out into the side on our heel, move that ball, bow stance. No different from what we just did. Sit back, sit down allows us now to pivot out on a zigzag, hold our ball for better balance, move that ball on an L stance, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, L stance, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball for better balance, out on an L stance, move that ball. Here's your snack. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, L stance, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, heel in hand, part the wild horse's mane, flying diagonal. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, out on the L, part the wild horse's mane. Listen carefully. Half step forward, hold your ball. Spin your ball to the right, lift up your hand, lift up your front foot, place it on its toe, point. White crane spreads its wings. Here again, when white crane spreads its wings, the tip of your right hand fingers and your left hand fingers you can draw an imaginary diagonal. The weight is on the back foot. Therefore, you can lift the front foot to show me that your weight is all on the back. Okay, very good. Now, go back. So we're looking at the basic principles and the foundations of Tai Chi. We already know that we need to shift our weight. We know that what we do on one side, we have to do on the other side. So those are two principles right there. We also know that the bottom hand advances whenever we hold our ball. Can I check to see whether you understand what that means? Can you just make a ball and show me that the bottom hand advances? Make another ball and show me that the bottom hand advances. So the bottom hand advances at the same time, the same side of your foot advances. So it's the left hand, the left foot, the right foot, the right hand. So that is another principle, okay? Or the foundations on which Tai Chi is built. We also learned that we need to sit down and sit back. So that occurs when we stretch, we sit down and sit back. We do not sit back this way and throw our Tai Chi posture off. That's another principle, okay? So all these principles can be applied to all of the Yang style Tai Chi, if not almost all Tai Chi styles. Tonight we're going to look at how we make ourselves small. So if you can just stand there and show me how you can be a big person and then how you can be a small person. And that's what that sensation is what we're going to get after, okay? Or we're going to try to work on. So maybe you can tell me that you're big because you're gigantic and you're a soldier, and then all of a sudden you're going to make yourself small. So I want you to do that. Make yourself big, make yourself small. So we see that we expand and then we contract. We get big and then we get small. So in Tai Chi, that principle is very apparent in commencing form, which is the first movement of all Yang Tai Chi, done the same way. So in this class, we're not just looking at the 10 form, but we're looking at all 3 forms that we teach and applying those principles. So this is a unique class, and I think if you follow me, you'll gain a lot. So to show you the principle of making yourself small, we're going to learn how to do commencing form. Okay? So I'll show you, and you can look and put the connection of what I'm saying to what I'm doing. I have good Tai Chi posture. Bring my foot in a little bit more, and I'm going to commence. Right now, I'm at 50-50, weight evenly distributed. I want to advance one foot so my right foot gains all its weight so that my heel can come up. I'm on my toe, and this is called opening. The same way that my foot came up is the same way that my foot goes down. I'm once again at 50-50. I rotate to the middle of my thigh, my hands. I take a deep breath in as I elevate both hands simultaneously. At shoulder level, right now I'm kind of big. I'm going to make myself small. How do I do that? I drop my shoulders, I drop my elbows, I drop my wrists, I flex my knees. So where I was once at this level, now I'm pushing down, using the core, using the muscles in the back of me. If I did not know Tai Chi, I would do it something like this. Okay? So that we want to get that idea and spin away from it. Why do I say that? If we're trying to be stronger and if our mind is driving our movements and with our core, we need to instill or use those core muscles and our mind. So it should look something like this, and it surely takes a different feeling. All right. I'm going to do something wrong to show you to drive a point. So I'll tell you when the movement is wrong. But if I didn't, I think you would detect when it's wrong. Has something to do with this last portion, okay? So we always use the term, the hands go for the ride. Watch how in this last movement, my hands did not go for the ride, fully for the ride. In this instance now, my hands will go for the ride. How are my hands coming down? All I did was make myself small, and as I made myself small, my hands came down with me. They did not come down with me. They did not just come down. They came down with the core, with my mind, with my body, making myself small. Okay, so that's a big principle of Tai Chi. It's not always that easy. And then you say, well, Tai Chi is too slow. I can just bring down my hands, but that's not Tai Chi, okay? That's moving into the beginning learning of Tai Chi. But right away with a rather simple movement such as commencing form, I think we can already use some of those principles and try it out and get better at it, okay? So I'm gonna turn around and then we're gonna, I don't really have to turn around, but I assume that you know what I'm doing when I am facing the wall, okay? So we're in good Tai Chi posture, dropping those shoulders, side seam of our pants with our middle finger, not flexing our knee, but making our knees relax, sinking our chest, tucking our butt, tongue on our palate, chin slightly down, head erect, 50-50. To commence, we slowly drain the weight off of our left foot so that our heel can rise. We're on the arch, we're on our sole, on our toe, gaining all that weight, 95%, 99, 100, open, toe, sole, arch, heel, 50-50. Hands rotate, they touch the sides of your pants. As they come to the middle, you're gonna take a deep breath and you're gonna bring up your elbows, wrists, shoulders. You're gonna make yourself small by tucking down your elbows, wrists, dropping your shoulders, flexing your knee. All right? Try it again. Commencing form, 50-50. Heavier on your right foot, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Off the ground, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50-50. Hands rotate to the middle of your thighs. Think through your process. Use your core. Bring up your arms. Using that core. Shoulder level. Reverse the process. Dropping your shoulders. Making yourself small. Flexing your knee. Going on. Left hand on the bottom to hold your ball on a T stance. What's next? L stance. Out and to the side. Move that ball. Part the wild horse's mane. Flying diagonal, bow and arrow. Sit back, sit down on that imaginary stool. Pivot. Right foot ready to go. Right hand on the bottom. Matches. Out and to the side. Move that ball. Flying diagonal. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. Hold your ball in a T stance. Okay, so now you say, that's pretty good. You can understand that. Okay, now I want you to watch me and look for elements that you feel that maybe you can improve on. So I'm in good Tai Chi posture. Okay, and I'm relaxed. I'm going to commence. Thinking through what I'm doing, feeling every little muscle working for me. Okay, do it with me. Good Tai Chi posture, dropping those shoulders, commencing form. 50-50, slowly drain the weight off of the left, heels up, on our sole, on our toe, 100% open, down slowly, 50-50. Hands rotate, take a deep breath in, make yourselves big, shoulder level, drop, make yourselves small. Hands go for the ride. T stance, left hand, left foot ready, holding your ball. Out on an L, move that ball. Hands go for the ride. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, T and ball, right, right. Out onto the side, L stance, O stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot. Let's do 2 sets of this. Holding your ball, out and the side, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball, out and the side, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball. Okay, good. So now we want to kind of move away from that. We've done a lot of parting of the wild horse's mane. I think commencing form, you understand it, so it does take practice. But we will come back and revisit it later. I want to tackle something a little harder now, okay? There are many ways in which I can go, so I'm going to have to think this through and try to figure out if it's going to be just your speed, okay? And whatever I choose will be just your speed, okay? So that's a guarantee there. So I'm going to teach you how to multitask. Multitask, what does that mean? I'm going to teach you many things in one movement. I'm going to teach you many things in one movement. My hands move, my neck moves, my feet move. Okay? You think you can do it? All right, let's do it. Let's go forward and do it, okay? Let's get away from this block. This block is confining us, okay? All right. Pivot out on your right heel, left hand to your chest, right hand up higher. We're going to take an L stance. Out and to the side, bring the top hand to your ear, bring the bottom hand down, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out on a zigzag. Instead of holding your ball, the right hand is towards your chest and the left hand is up higher. You're looking at your higher hand at a glance. You're going to take an L stance with your heel while you bring the back hand to your ear. The other hand comes down, out and around as if it were brushing your knee. This is another flying diagonal. The tips of the 2 fingers can make an imaginary diagonal. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out. Shift your weight. Left hand parallel, right hand up higher, glancing at your back hand. Out with your heel, bring your top hand to your ear, turn your hips and waist, brush your knee. Wow, that's a lot of tasks being done all together. Take it all in, out and to the side on a T. Glance at the top hand, bring it to the ear, set out your heel, turn your hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out. Parallel higher on a T. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out. Parallel higher on a tippy. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot. Parallel higher on a T. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Let's get out of it and learn a transition. Half step forward. Sit back on the back foot. Rock the front foot to its toe. Set it on its heel and play your lute. So I'm going to turn around and show you how to play a lute. Stay in your position, okay? So the right foot takes all your weight, and your left foot, the front foot, is almost weightless, and your hands sort of match your feet. The left the left hand is higher, the right hand is about across from your elbow, and it's not parallel, but slightly dipped in, and your weight is on your back foot. And if it's weighted correctly, you probably are aching right now, okay? You probably are, and that's probably good, okay? But my foot now in the front does not swerve out. It's almost in like an L stance, okay? So keep that foot on a line or parallel to the line, and that's how you play your lute. All right, very good. Okay, give your legs and muscles a little rest by walking back. So we learn to brush our knee. This is how we brushed our knee. We are on a T stance. One hand, which is the back hand, is higher. The other hand is my sense of parallel. Parallel is really here to my waist, but this is where I want it, on an angle. But I can't think of a better word than parallel like this. So I call it, this is my sense of parallel. Whereas the other hand is up higher, meaning that it's not in the same plane. It's higher, and we're glancing at it. So this is my glance, but this is not my glance. That's turning my face. All I want to do is just glance to see that back hand, okay? So you're going to watch first, and then we're going to do more on it, okay? So this is my thing. This is where I am. As my hand comes to my area of my ear, the other hand goes down. So that's why I call it a multitasking movement. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out. T stance, parallel higher glance. Bring it to the area of your ear, set out your heel, turn your face, turn your hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out. Higher and a parallel, glance, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush our knee. Now, if you're doing it really in the Tai Chi acceptable way, your hands actually just go for the ride. If you don't understand, which is okay because you're learning, you may just move the hand and the hips and waist come afterwards. That wasn't a really good example, but I think you can get the idea, okay? So we're going to try to get that really good idea and practice it again, okay? Any questions that you need me to answer? It's not easy. It's really not easy. So we're just going to try to train first, of course, understand it brain-wise, take that information in, and then with that good information, you're going to try to get your body to do what you're thinking, okay? All right. We said that we would brush our knee, a multitasking movement. We're going to start on a T, and we're going to have one hand that's parallel, my sense of parallel, and the right hand, which is the back hand, is going to be higher. This is how I'm going to warm you up. As the back hand comes to the area of the ear, the multitask movement is to bring down that left hand. Can everybody do it 5 times? Bring it to the ear, drop the hand. Bring it to the ear, drop the hand. Out, in, out. Don't forget to glance, in. One more, out, in. But something else needs to be added. Out, in, turn. We're on a T stance, we want to come to an L stance, and we want to do a bow stance. So at the same time our hand comes to the area of the ear, at the same time our hand comes down, what does our foot do? Comes out on an L, comes out on an L. So can we do three things? Ear, hand, heel. Ear, hand, heel. Ear, hand, heel. Ear, hand, heel. One more time. Ear, hand, heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Back on a T. Ear, hand, heel. Turn the hips and waist. Bow stance. Are your hands like mine? Is your left hand way out there? And can you catch that center? Can you catch that ball that's coming to the center? See if you can do it again. T stance. Ear, hand, heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. We're going to get really good because we have to do the other side. Okay, last time to practice. Ear, hand, heel. Turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. Very good. Sit back, sit down. Zigzag, out, parallel higher on a T. You need to practice or no? No practice. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist. Brush your knee. What you do on one side, you do on the other. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher on a toe, tippy, multitask. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out, tippy, parallel higher on a T, multitask. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out, parallel higher on a T, ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. This time, make sure that your core is working. Make sure that you're setting up your hands and moving your hips and waist to make that hand turn and brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, parallel higher on a T. Set up your hand, turn your hips and waist. Are your hands going for the ride? Sit back, sit down. Pivot out, parallel higher. Set up your hand, ear, heel, hand. Turn the hips and waist and test it out yourself. Last one, half step forward. Sit back on your back foot. Rock your front foot to toe. Set it back on its heel. Play your lute. Weight on the back. Okay? We won't worry too much about this. We'll try to get the whole picture right now. Okay? All right, good. Move back. All right. This time we're going to take it sideways now. So what I just taught you is a Tai Chi walk, moving into the 24 or the 16. And now we're going to kind of pull it back and see how it fits into the 10 form, which is usually around 3 or 4 blocks wide. Okay? So I'm going to do it for you first, okay? So if it's only 3 or 4 blocks wide, that's my limit there, okay? And I think we did it earlier, but this is how I brush my knee. So people say, well, you know, I remember this from my other class, but then can you help yourself to say, are your hands going for the ride? There's much more refinement to do. This is our twist step. This is our T stance. This is our parallel and higher. We said that we would bring this here and this here. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. We said that we would make our hands as much as possible go for the ride. Are they set up and are they being turned by your mind and your core? Okay, let's try that now, okay? This will be a drill, so there will be many times for you to perfect it, okay? Starting on a T stance, left hand parallel, my sense of parallel, right hand up higher where you can glance at it. You cannot be straight up because you know that the advancing foot has to be near weightless. So therefore, 95% of your weight should be on your right foot. We're on a T stance. We need to get into an L stance in a multitasking fashion. Here we go. Out with our heel to our ear, down with our hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Why did it take me so long? It's because I'm using the energy that I store up to make my movements happen. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T, glance, multitask. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, hands go for the ride. Sit back, sit down, pivot, shift your weight to the left on a T, ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, T, parallel higher, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher, last one, make it perfect. Heel, ear, turn. Sit back, sit down, hold your ball on a T stance. Okay, how was that? Fun? Good? Different? Hard? Yeah? But challenging, but something you feel like you want to try to do. So that's a good sign, okay? That's a good sign. All right. So I can take anything that you give me. I can take everything that you give me, no matter who you are or what you're doing, okay? But everybody has to have a starting point. They have to have a platform in which they can build, okay? All right. Thinking through what I want to string along together now. This is what I think I want to do, okay? Watch, because you don't know what I'm going to be doing. Okay, ready? If I can do it, you can do it, okay? So we're gonna move this way. So people over there already, you're not going to be able to see me because you're going to advance this way and you're going to have to look this way. So what do you have to do? Okay, people over there, okay? Okay, so the name of the game is to enjoy yourself. Laugh if you do a mistake. Doesn't bother. It's funny, but don't get down on yourself, okay? We are going to do something that you probably have never done before. So enjoy it, okay? All right, facing the wall, but advancing to the field, okay? I'll try to call out as much as I can. Your job is just to enjoy it. Okay, good Tai Chi posture, facing the wall, dropping those shoulders, middle finger to the side seam, sinking your chest, tucking your butt, relaxed knees, tongue on your palate, chin down. I'm going to bring my foot in a little bit more, okay? Commencing form, 50-50. Drain the weight off of our left so that our heel can come up on our sole, on our toe, 95, 100, open, toe, sole, arch, heel. 50-50, hands rotate to the middle of our thighs. Take a deep breath in as you elevate both hands, making yourself big. Then at shoulder level, dropping your shoulders, tucking your butt, flexing your knees, dropping your wrists and your elbows. T stance, left hand on the bottom, right hand on the top to hold your ball. We know that this is a T stance. The next thing that comes up is an L stance. Out and to the side, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Stretch. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out. Right hand on the bottom to hold your ball on a T. Out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out. Hold your ball for better balance. Out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Half step forward, hold your ball. Spin your ball to the right, lift up the right hand, lift up the left foot, point it down, white crane spreads its wings. Drop your front foot, right hand draws imaginary line through your belly, button, look back at your back hand that's higher, parallel and higher. What are we gonna do? We're gonna multitask. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out, parallel higher on a T. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down. Pivot out, parallel higher on a T. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Half step forward, sit back on your back foot, bring the left foot to your toe, rock on it and put it on its heel and play your lute. Weight on the back. This is the place where you say, wow, it's hurting on my right foot. Then you know what I mean, okay? Then you're building strength. You are playing your lute now. Okay, very good. Okay, very, very good. So, believe it or not, you have done commencing form, parting of the wild horse's mane, white crane spreads its wings, brush knee, which is number 4, and you also played your lute. You learned 5 movements in this one experience, and they are the first 5 movements in Yang 24. Is that amazing? You shook your head. Is that amazing or is it too hard? How many say it's hard? I agree. It is hard, but do we stay away from it if it is hard? No. Okay. So we're in for the challenge. We're in for Tai Chi for health reasons. Every time we move, we're gaining more strength in the limbs that we need strength in. We're learning about our body because everything has an important part. When you start to tune in and you listen to your body, you know exactly when you are at risk or what you can do to counter a risky event or an experience, okay? So I'm gonna give you a rest because I think you need to not hear me and hear somebody else.
You all seem to be taking on the challenge pretty well. What I want to do is go back to a little bit more basic in terms of footwork, foot position. And we have something in this room that we may not have in other rooms. That is, the tiles help us orient how our foot should be, okay? The basic Tai Chi position or of a bow step is, you see if we're parallel like this, we have two lines of the square that this way. So for me, it's about right on the line for each side makes it, because my shoulders are almost at that level. So when you begin, your feet should be both parallel and in alignment with the line, straight forward, okay? And then when she says, for the Tai Chi walk, step out, you step out and you look at the diagonal of one of the tiles, okay? And if you approximate that position, you are at 45 degrees by definition, okay? 90 degrees and a half of 90 degrees is 45 degrees. So you go half of the 90 degrees, 45 degrees. And then you put your weight on that, and this becomes a substantial foot, and this foot comes up. And the tendency is to just do this, but you're going to end up with another 45 degree going in that direction. But you should be walking in forward. So you come forward and to the side, but you stay in line with the straight line here, and you come down. So now, at the end of your step, you're in the bow step now. The front foot is straight forward. The back foot is at 45 degrees, okay? That's how it should be. Right now, people are having problems because I see some people are walking off and veering off to this side, and some people are duck walking up the road. But we can't do that, okay? So we're here, we sit back, and what do? 45 degrees, diagonal to the square. Get on there, stable position, bring the other foot up, drop with the heel here, and the foot drops straight down on the line, going forward. Coming back, turn 45 degrees, 90 degrees, straight forward, okay? So you say, well, that's well and good if we're doing 16 or we're doing 24, but the same thing happens. I think when we're doing the 10 form, which is what eventually, this course used to be, quote, the 10 form, but we hope you get close to that, or at least you have the basics that we're trying to teach, and you get pretty close to mastering the positions. But a similar thing is here. You got the T step here, and you're coming out, and this time, what you want to do is come out and straight. This is going to be a 90 degree. You come down straight here, and then you turn the foot to make the 45 degree. Okay? That's the first shot. When you come back on the twist step, you turn, and you try to make this a 45 degree. It's more than you're from here, and you want to go to basically 135 degrees for the geometrists. And then, so you're at 45 degrees, and you're here, and this comes out straight down on the line. Okay? Sit back, 135 degrees, sit back, T-step, and out. And she says out to the side, and it is out to the side, but sometimes to help us, maybe it should, because we're oriented in this position, sometimes adding another word, out and to the side and back. That's relative to our orientation here. If we're like this, the foot should be back. but also we want it out and to the side. So for communication purposes, when she says out to the side, she means out to the side and back. Because otherwise what happens, out to the side could be this. And then you're supposed to turn. Not too hard or not too easy to turn and make this square. If we do that, our knees are likely to have to take the brunt of the position. That's why if it's out and to the side and back, when I turn, I have straight foot, this foot 45 degrees, and how wide am I? Almost one square if I were to be superimposed here. But you see, now I can turn in this full position, and I'm comfortable. I'm not trying to get a tightrope where I'm like this, and one leg's this way, one leg's this way. You're out, turn. And then that allows you to do your whether you're doing here, you're coming out, square. Otherwise, what happens if you're right here and you square, you're like this. Your shoulders are not square, 90 degrees. You're still in this position. You haven't taken advantage of the power that's involved in Tai Chi movements. And she didn't yet mention it, but she did. Lucille did mention it at other times and alluded to it, the turning, especially in the brush knee. But it's a complex movement which is present in many Tai Chi movements. It's linear advancement, rotational power. Okay, you're doing 2 in 1. Advancement, rotation. If you are too much this way, you can advance. Rotation, 3/4. I mean, not even 3/4 versus if you're out here, out and to the back, full rotation. Okay, so try to remember that. Out and to the side and back, if you need it to remind yourselves, not just out and to the side.
So you all know what I'm going to say. Don't stress, okay? Remember we said that we would learn something different and we would have fun, okay? This is part of our journey. All right, we'll come back and we'll renew, revisit whatever you don't understand and whatever I feel that you need more practice with, okay?